We all live within borders of our own countries, but have you ever wondered that these lines are just imaginary? While it might be imaginary in the grand scale of things, it's very much real for people living there. Talk about borders might not sound interesting to most, but we wouldn't have a video on it if it wasn't something more than that. Our planet is massive and split into many countries, and sometimes these borders take on unique characteristics due to geographical and political reasons. Here are 10 unique borders from around the world that you'll regret if you don't see. Before we get started, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe and click the notification bell for more such amazing content. Number 10. Korean Demilitarized Zone. The Korean Demilitarized Zone has been the inspiration of countless movies and TV series in Korea, and for good reason. It is one of its kind in the world due to the political situation between the two separated countries. The DMZ is not exactly just a border, but also a military demarcation line, or MDL. This strip of land is about 160 miles long and 2.5 miles wide and divides the north from the south. Though the zone is demilitarized, the border beyond this strip is one of the most militarized borders in the world. Due to the presence of so many military personnel, civilians and settlements are not seen within the zone. An unexpected result of the DMZ is the presence of a number of highly endangered species, calling this area their home. It's even been reported that they're not just living there, but their numbers have also been rising. I guess that's one good thing that came out of this unfortunate situation. Number 9. Derby Line, Vermont. Now to a border which is a lot less tense than the DMZ. This quaint little town is the town of Derby Line. Yes, you heard that right. The town name has the word line in it. There's a reason behind that. This unique town straddles the US-Canada border. Basically, you can cross a street to say hi to your friend in Canada and just walk back to US soil, all within a minute or less. The town takes it up a notch by constructing a building right in the middle of the border. A Haskell Free Library and Opera House is an interesting place to visit if you want to experience the silliness of political boundaries. The donors behind the construction of this building were a binational couple. Their intention was to create a space where residents of both the US and Canada can come and use this facility together. 116 years later, their vision is still being upheld. The stage of the opera is on Canadian soil, while the seating area is on American soil. So you can literally watch a play unfold in the US while the actors perform it on Canadian soil. All this under one building. Pretty crazy. Number 8. Tumen River. If you want to experience 3 countries in one, the Tumen River in Northeast Asia should be in your itinerary. The Tumen River flows between the borders of China and North Korea in its upper regions and between North Korea and Russia in the final 11 miles before finally entering the Sea of Japan. If you're in this area, you can essentially walk from North Korea to Russia while passing through China within half a mile. That's 3 birds with 1 stone if you get the analogy. But just like the DMZ zone in Korea, this area is also heavily guarded due to its location. So a stroll through this area is unlikely and restricted. A lot of North Koreans attempted to defect from this region, so the area is sprawling with North Korean soldiers. Better to be on your best behavior here. Number 7. Kushbehar District. Now for a really confusing one. The Kushbehar District is a region within the state of West Bengal in India. What makes this region so interesting is the presence of 92 Bangladeshi exclaves within Kushbehar. What does that mean? Basically, a piece of a country is within another country. The biggest of these exclaves is called Balapara Kagrabari, which surrounds a Bangladeshi exclave called Upanchok Bajni. But the craziness doesn't end there. The Upanchok Bajni exclave itself surrounds an Indian exclave called Dahala Kagrabari. Feel your head spinning? Well, we don't blame you, since this whole thing is very confusing and complicated. To simplify this international border issue, the Prime Minister of both India and Bangladesh signed the Land Boundary Agreement in 1974. This agreement allowed the exchange of these exclaves between the two countries to simplify the border. The exchanges were finally done by July 2015, and the residents of these exclaves were given the option of either continuing to stay at their present home or move to a country of their choice. Pretty darn cool. Number 6. Mount Everest. Everyone knows that Mount Everest is the tallest mountain in the world. Since this feature is so overpowering, most people don't realize that Everest also serves as an international border between China and Nepal. Bet you didn't know that. In fact, the border passes through the middle of the mountain. Yes, including the peak as well. This makes Mount Everest the tallest border in the world. So the only people who are capable of getting past this border are elite mountaineers. No need for militarized border patrols here. If you do make your way to the peak and position yourself right, half of you could be in Nepal and the other half in China. Worth trying it out on your next expedition. Number 5. District of Columbia. The geography of the District of Columbia is truly unique. The original borders were carved out of the states of Maryland and Virginia in the shape of a diamond. When the delineation was made, large stones were placed across the new border at a 1-mile distance from one another. Though a few of these landmark stones are missing today, most can be seen around this region if you care to find them. This region has other interesting features as well. For example, if you walk on the sidewalk of the northern side of the street, you're in Maryland, even though the street itself is in DC. You'll even see stores with different area codes depending on which side of the street you're on, one being Maryland and the other being the District of Columbia. If you ever make your way to DC, see for yourself. Number 4. The Diomedes. The Diomede Islands in the middle of the Bering Strait are quite an unusual place. Maybe not unusual visually, but unique due to the political boundary. Little Diomede is the one which belongs to the United States and has the American city of Diomede, while the Big Diomede is part of Russia. The distance between America and Russia here is only 2.5 miles apart. But the Diomede Islands are not worthy of this list just for this reason. The International Date Line, which is an imaginary line running through the surface of the planet which demarcates the change of a calendar date to the next, passes right in between these two islands. So what does that mean? If you are a resident of the American city of Diomede looking across the Bering Strait at Big Diomede, you're essentially looking into the future. Big Diomede is 21 hours ahead of Little Diomede and 20 during the summer. So if you want an extra day on your weekend, just sail between the two islands to match your needs. Though we must warn you, Big Diomede is only inhabited by Russian military units. Number 3. Egypt, Sudan. Bir Tawil, the no-man's land between Egypt and Sudan. But this place is unlike any other disputed land in the sense that neither Egypt nor Sudan want it. This zone came to be when there were some discrepancies with the border created by the UK in 1902 from the original one created in 1899. Bir Tawil became a 795 square mile piece of land which both countries didn't want to claim for themselves. Both Egypt and Sudan have been fighting over this issue for a very long time. Egypt supports the 1899 border as it shifts this zone to Sudan, while Sudan supports the 1902 border created by the UK, which shifts Bir Tawil to Egypt. It seems both the countries just don't want anything to do with this piece of land since it's just a giant sandbox. What makes it even more interesting, apart from Antarctica, Bir Tawil is the only piece of land which has never been claimed by any nation. Let's hope Bir Tawil finds a home between the two sometime in the future. Number 2. Indonesia-Malaysia border. The Indonesia-Malaysia border is a great place. The border of these two southeastern Asian countries passes through the island of Borneo. What's unique about this border is that it consists of 1,169 miles of land border, which also includes maritime boundaries along the length of the Straits of Malacca and the Celebes Sea. There are only 3 official land crossing points between these countries, but both the land and maritime borders are not strictly monitored, resulting in a lot of undocumented workers crossing from Indonesia to Malaysia. Another interesting point is that even the colour of the soil varies depending on which side of the border you're on. And number 1. Pakistan and India. For number 1, we visit this unique border between Pakistan and India. Unlike all the other borders in this list, this one is a happier, almost celebratory one. A border between two countries with a lot of tense history which celebrates? Is that even possible? It is if you come to the Wagah Atari border. Every day before sunset, the soldiers from both countries come together and put a grand show of dancing and parading on. They've been doing this since 1959, and it takes place as a symbol of brotherhood and cooperation between the two nations. The whole ceremony ends with a perfectly coordinated lowering of flags from both sides. If you ever make it to this ceremony, you'll see a lot of stomping, a lot of shouting and a lot of moustaches, but the sentiment behind it all is to display peace between the two countries. The ceremony even encourages soldiers to grow their moustache, and whoever rocks an even more impressive stash gets paid more. This is a border you wouldn't want to miss seeing. And there you go, 10 unique borders that you'll regret if you don't see in person. Have you ever visited any of these borders? If so, what was your experience like? Do let us know in the comments. For more such eye-opening content, be sure to hit the like button, share and subscribe. See you next time.